Hey, welcome to Viral Gist. To all our returning subscribers, we're saying thank you. And to our new subscriber, we're saying stay tuned. As many events have been happening around the world, the case of Israel is not an exception. As Israeli families all over the world are gathering around dinner table, instead of eating their dinner, they are once again forced to run to bomb shelters due to Hamas incessant rocket firing. Reports are coming out from Israel for the past few days over the terrorist attack on Israeli civilians by the Hamas terrorists. It has left many homeless, many injured, and many kidnapped. The Taliban has come to say the Taliban asked Iran, Jordan, and Iraq to allow their troops into Israel to help Hamas conquer Jerusalem. This has been a war raging for a long time, and there has been no simple solution. Israel have tried peace, it hasn't worked, and all they get in return is invasion and bombing their civilians. Senator Ted Cruz have come to say what Hamas is doing is a grotesque act of war. What is infuriating is that it is paid by Joe Biden sending billions to Iran and millions directly into Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. These are coming after earlier this year, Joe Biden awarded $6 billion to Iran, the Ayatollah, knowing fully well that this money will be channeled into sponsoring terrorism against Israel. Many commentators came and condemned the act, but to no avail. Biden now willed the money to the Iran government. This is what they have to say. Watch it out.
Support for Israel, but did he drop the ball on Hamas's surprise attack against Israel all day long that promises to last for weeks? And is solidarity within the House possible without a standing speaker? Joining us now, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, you've been watching the coverage. You've gotten briefed already by your staff. What could you tell us at this hour concerns you most?
Well, Brian, the nation of Israel is at war. The attack that has unfolded in the last 24 hours is the worst attack on Israel in over 50 years. We've seen over 300 Israelis murdered. We've seen over 1,500 Israelis wounded. We've seen over 3,000 missiles fired by Hamas into Israel. This is a grotesque act of war, and I'll tell you, watching the videos of what is happening, these Hamas terrorists, they're targeting civilians, they're murdering women, they're murdering children, they're murdering the elderly, they're firing into a rock concert they just fired randomly. They are brutally raping women, and they're brutally raping children, and they're dragging them back to Gaza. These are horrific war crimes. And look, what is infuriating is this attack was paid for by billions of dollars that Joe Biden sent to Iran, sent to the Ayatollah. In recent weeks, Biden sent over $6 billion to the Ayatollah. Hamas is a proxy for Iran, and in the last 2 years, Biden has allowed the Ayatollah to make over $40 billion. Not only that, the Biden administration sent millions of dollars directly into Gaza. They knew that the money going into Gaza would fund Hamas in acts of terrorism. They actually got a waiver from U.S. anti-terrorism laws to send that money into Gaza. I led a group of senators calling on the administration to stop sending money to these terrorists. Well, the terrorists that Joe Biden is funding, they're the ones right now murdering Israelis, raping Israelis, targeting children. This is grotesque. And I got to say tonight, Brian, it is important that the people of Israel understand America stands with you. We need a president of the United States who stands up and says, we stand unequivocally with the state of Israel. This act of war, this act of terrorism, it is horrific, it is barbaric, and we stand with civilization against barbarism and terror and evil.
Yeah, that's the American Senator Ted Cruz reacting to the attacks by Hamas on Israel. It's really horrific. Waking up to that is really horrific. This shouldn't happen in a civilized nation. Israel Defense Force, in response to Hezbollah attack on Lebanon into Israel, IDF artillery struck targets in the area. Israel have many enemies on many fronts, but Israel have extended peace to these Gaza strips and environs, giving them electricity, fuel, and yet they aren't satisfied. What will you do if you are in the place of Israel? What will you do if you are the place of Netanyahu as a prime minister? Wow, God always stands with Israel. We are seeing footage of how IDF neutralized the sort of terrorists. Earlier today, the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, held a press conference condemning the attack and alerting the world nations of the world about the terrorist attack being faced by Israel. He quoted that Israel will always strike hard on the hearts of the terrorists. Watch what he has to say. That was Netanyahu's press conference. Netanyahu also announced that Israel is starting a blockade of Gaza and will cut off all electricity, fuel, and food coming from Israel. To put this on a perspective, even Putin still supplies gas and oil to Ukraine and Europe. This is coming from Netanyahu, said they will start a blockade against all these things and many things being said to Gaza Strip. Naftali, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu urged Gaza residents to leave the other country. Gazans should flee as time to start ground operation approaches. Interesting times ahead, but this shouldn't be happening as Israel have always wanted peace approaches. We have seen movements of military hardware to bordering towns between Israel and Gaza, and it is not looking pretty good. And we always choose peace over war. Don't forget that we are virages. As it is breaking, we are breaking it. But this doesn't look good at all. This doesn't look so good at all. Peace should always reign. The Arabic world should allow peace to reign. This isn't looking good at all. Israel has warned all Gazans to leave their country. Where are they going? As this is going to lead to a grand operation. And Israel said they will never forgive any act of terrorism carried out on their land. Yeah, these are disturbing footages coming out from Gaza where Israel has targeted some terrorist infrastructures, bringing them to ground zero at precise attack. Images are so disturbing, and videos coming from either places are so disturbing as the Hamas terrorists have kidnapped some Israeli citizens, raping their women, and Israel is just targeting the terrorists and their infrastructures. And we plead for the whole wide world and people of good conscience to stand on the right side of the truth at these critical times. It has been a controversial issue from time immemorial, but these issues should be solved amicably without any further bloodshed. This morning from Netanyahu, since this morning the state of Israel has been in a state of war. One of the objectives is to clear out the hostility forces that infiltrated our territory and restore the security and quiet to the communities that have been attacked. Israel woke up to this attack and they said, let's clear out the terrorists in our town before we go on the defensive. This is showing a precise image of a drone attack by the ADF, 4 members of the hamas terrorism crossing into Israel. It was so precise. Israel has promised to go on the offensive after this. A public figure, Naphtali, has come to say his own part of the story. Watch his interview with us.
And evil. The war in Israel is not just about victims and perpetrators. It has always been about good versus evil. Look, this is how Israel treats Palestinians. And this is how Hamas treats Israelis. This is who Israel targets. Terrorists. And this is who Hamas targets. Families with children, civilians. This is how Israel treats Muslims. And how does Hamas treat Muslims? Well, it actually killed at least 10 Muslim Arabs, citizens of Israel, with its rocket attacks. Hamas is not just the enemy of Israel, but of humanity. Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike are all targets of this radical Islamist organization. In Israel, there are over 2 million Arab citizens. Most of them are Muslim, citizens of Israel. In Gaza, there are 0 Jews. The only way Jews can get to Gaza is if they're kidnapped. This is why I'm telling you that the war in Israel is your war too. Because the evil we deal with has no borders. It's a radical ideology. Hamas holds a radical Islamist ideology of cleansing Israel of all of its Jews. This is why they say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's from the Jordan River all the way to the Mediterranean Sea, exactly where Israel is. Israel has always championed being the most moral army in the world, trying to hit only the terrorists in a very densely populated area. Before it strikes buildings, it sends warning messages to civilians so they can flee. What other army does that? Hamas, on the other hand, infiltrated Israel, slaughtered more than 600 Israelis, wounding over 2,000 and kidnapping many others, whose fate is still unknown. This is a war between good and evil. Make sure you stand on the right side of history, be a voice, and don't be silent. Please.
Yeah, that's Naphtali showing how Israel have treated Gazians with love and Muslims with love. Nationalists, so many world leaders have come to show solidarity with Israel in these hard trying times. The case of Rishi Sunak is not an exception. He has promised that Britain stands with Israel on these trial times. Watch his interview.
Horrifying. The scenes that we've seen in Israel over the past 36 hours are truly horrifying. I want to express my absolute solidarity for the people of Israel. Now is not a time for equivocation, and I'm unequivocal. Hamas and the people who support Hamas are fully responsible for this appalling act of terror, for the murder of civilians and for the kidnapping of innocent people, including children. I've just spoken with Prime Minister Netanyahu to assure him of the UK's steadfast support as Israel defends itself against these appalling attacks. We will do everything that we can to help. Terrorism will not prevail.